It's 5:30 p.m. here in Singapore. You're watching The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics of the day and explain why they matter. I'm Haryanto Diman, coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. We begin with the government's announcement that all workers returning from China will now face new measures before they are able to return to their jobs. Details on how stricter enforcement of LOAs are still being worked out among the government agencies. Now, to recap the difference between an LOA and a quarantine order, those who are on LOA may leave home briefly to attend to matters, but they must return home as soon as possible. Whereas the person who is on quarantine is isolated and is not allowed to interact with anyone. If the person breaks quarantine, he or she will face severe penalties. Those returning from Hubei province will be quarantined. Now, moving on to our second segment, 563 people in China have died from the coronavirus after authorities confirmed a jump of 73 yesterday. It's the country's third straight record daily rise. The total number of confirmed cases in the country has surpassed 28,000. Meanwhile, in Singapore, the Health Ministry confirmed 4 more cases of the coronavirus last night. This includes the youngest patient so far, a 6-month-old baby, who is the son of an infected couple. There is also an imported case, a Chinese tourist, among the 4 new cases. The total number of confirmed cases in Singapore now stands at 28. But of the 4 new cases, 3 had contact with those in an earlier cluster linked to a group of 20 tourists from Guangxi, China. The tour group was in Singapore from January 22nd to 27th, where they visited a health products shop, Yong Tai Hang, along Cavan Road in Lavender. Let's backtrack. On Tuesday, the Health Ministry announced 6 confirmed cases. 4 of them are linked to the tour group. 2 are employees of Yong Tai Hang, cases 19 and 20. The third is the domestic helper of case 19. She is dubbed case 21. And the fourth is the tour guide of the group of 20 tourists. She is case 24. Now, on to the new cases reported last night. 3 of them had direct contact with the earlier cases. The first is the husband to the tour guide, case 24. Now he is case 25. The second case is the husband of one of the shop employees, case 19, and their 6-month-old baby boy is also infected. To tell us more about this cluster at the health products shop, I'm joined by journalist Timothy Goh. Welcome, Tim. Now, Tim, is there a possibility that the baby had contact with, say, relatives and other caregivers who aren't his parents?
Well, I mean, given that we don't have that much information at the moment, it's purely speculative, but it was Chinese New Year weekend just a couple of weeks ago, actually. So there may have been a high number of visitors coming to the household, and as we know, the incubation period for this virus is about 2 weeks' time. So if you backtrack 2 weeks from the infection date, that would put us in the middle of the Chinese New Year period.
What about daycare facilities and all that? Was the baby in daycare?
Yes, so the MOH has come out and clarified that the baby was not actually in any daycare before he was admitted to the hospital. He just stayed at home and was cared for at home.
Right. Yeah. Now, Tim, so far the more serious cases that have been reported are the elderly with an underlying illness. Now that a 6-month-old infant is one of the infected patients, parents are naturally concerned.
Of course.
Is my baby safe?
Well, I think that's a very valid concern. And to be frank, you know, infants, babies, the young are normally considered a more vulnerable population along with the elderly and those with underlying illnesses. So they are at a high risk of infection. But that being said, you know, the fatality rate for this current illness stands at slightly below 2% right now. So I'd say, you know, concern is in a sense good, but there's no need to panic. And as a parent, the best thing you can do is to practice good hygiene for your infant as well, who may not be able to really know the concept of personal hygiene. So watch what your infant is putting into their mouth, and wash your hands before touching your infant or your infant's face.
Right, definitely hand hygiene. I think that is something that has been reiterated and emphasized a lot during this current situation, that hand hygiene is of utmost importance. Now, separately, 3 foreigners who were here last month for a conference at Grand Hyatt Singapore have been infected with the coronavirus. 2 are South Koreans who had contact with the 3rd man, who's an infected Malaysian. In an update last night, Singapore's Health Ministry said that the 3 cases are linked to a private business meeting that was held at the Hyatt from January 20th to 22nd. It was attended by 109 attendees from the same company. 94 were from overseas, who have all left Singapore. Of the 15 remaining Singapore residents, 11 are well, while 4 who have reported symptoms have been referred to the National Centre for Infectious Diseases for assessment. Grand Hyatt has since disinfected rooms and public areas. The World Health Organization is investigating this matter as well. So Tim, we don't know yet how, where, and even when the Malaysian was infected. In fact, in the latest news, the sister to this man has also been reported to be tested positive. Is that a cause of concern, seeing that for all the other cases in Singapore, we have managed to do some form of contact tracing?
Well, again, like I said, I think pretty much everyone is concerned at this point in time. There's a fine line between concern and panic, though. There is no productivity in panicking. For this particular case, even though we don't yet know how or when or where the Malaysian was infected, the good thing is that, of the 15 Singaporeans who were there, 11 of them have reported no symptoms. The 4 who did report symptoms were sent to NCID already. So as investigations are ongoing, I think they'll be able to start contact tracing if there are any confirmed cases, and then we'll be able to map it out. It's about trying to ring fence any infection clusters at the moment.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for coming onto the show, to share more light on the 4 new confirmed cases in Singapore, and at the same time also the cluster that is at Grand Hyatt Singapore. Now, for more on the coronavirus, you can head to straitstimes.com.